Who is Fidel Castro? Imagine a man who changed the course of a nation's history with his unwavering determination and revolutionary spirit. This man is Fidel Castro, and his story is one of passion, politics, and profound impact. Born on August 13, 1926, near Buran, Cuba, Fidel Castro grew up in a world where social and economic inequalities were rampant. He attended Catholic schools and later graduated from the University of Havana with a degree in law. However, it was not long before he became deeply involved in politics and the fight against the authoritarian regime of Fulgencio Batista. In 1953, at the age of 27, Castro led a daring attack on the Moncada Barracks in Santiago de Cuba. This event marked the beginning of his revolutionary journey. Although the attack failed, and many of his comrades were killed or captured, Castro's famous "History will absolve me" speech during his trial made him a national figure. After serving 2 years of a 15-year prison sentence, Castro was pardoned and went into exile in Mexico. There, he met Che Guevara and began planning his return to Cuba. In 1956, Castro and a group of revolutionaries, including his brother Raúl and Che Guevara, landed on the eastern coast of Cuba on a yacht called the Granma. Only a few survived the initial landing, but they managed to regroup in the Sierra Maestra Mountains and start a guerrilla war against Batista's forces. By 1959, Castro's movement had gained significant support from the Cuban people, and Batista fled the country on January 1. Castro's forces, though outnumbered, had defeated the Cuban government's army, and he became the commander-in-chief of the armed forces in the new provisional government. Castro's leadership transformed Cuba into the first communist state in the Western Hemisphere. He served as prime minister from 1959 to 1976, and then as president until 2008. His rule was marked by both admiration and criticism, with some seeing him as a liberator and others as a ruthless dictator. Throughout his life, Castro remained a figure of international significance, known for his strong stance on socialism and his defiance of the United States. He died on November 25, 2016, at the age of 90, leaving behind a legacy that continues to shape Cuba and influence global politics. Who is Fidel Castro? Picture a young lawyer from Cuba who decided to take on the corrupt government of his time. This is the story of Fidel Castro, a man whose actions would change the fate of his country forever. Born on August 13, 1926, Castro was educated in Catholic schools and later at the University of Havana, where he earned a law degree. His early life was marked by a strong sense of justice, which led him to join the Social Democrat Party that opposed the dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista. In July 1953, Castro led an armed attack on the Moncada Barracks, an event that, although unsuccessful, made him a prominent figure in Cuban politics. His trial and subsequent "History will absolve me" speech further solidified his position as a leader against Batista's regime. After his releases from prison in 1955, Castro went into exile in Mexico, where he met Che Guevara and began planning his return to Cuba. In 1956, he and a small group of revolutionaries landed on the eastern coast of Cuba and started a guerrilla war from the Sierra Maestra Mountains. By 1959, Castro's movement had gained widespread support, and Batista fled Cuba. Castro became the head of the new government, first as prime minister and later as president, transforming Cuba into a communist state. Castro's rule was long and complex, marked by both domestic and international challenges. He was celebrated by some as a champion of socialism and criticized by others for his authoritarian policies. He remained in power until 2008, when he handed over the presidency to his brother Raúl due to health issues. Fidel Castro passed away on November 25, 2016, but his impact on Cuba and the world remains significant. His legacy is a testament to the power of conviction and the enduring influence of a single individual on the course of history. Who is Fidel Castro? Imagine a country ruled by a dictator, where the people are oppressed and seeking change. This was Cuba in the 1950s, and Fidel Castro was the man who led the revolution that would overthrow this regime. Born on August 13, 1926, Castro studied law at the University of Havana and quickly became involved in politics. He joined a Social Democrat party that opposed Fulgencio Batista's dictatorship and soon found himself at the forefront of the resistance. In 1953, Castro led a daring attack on the Moncada Barracks, which, although it failed, marked the beginning of his revolutionary journey. His trial and the famous "History will absolve me" speech made him a national hero. After being pardoned and released from prison in 1955, Castro went to Mexico, where he met Che Guevara and planned his return to Cuba. In 1956, they landed on the eastern coast and began a guerrilla war from the Sierra Maestra Mountains. By 1959, Castro's movement had gained enough support to force Batista to flee, and Castro became the leader of the new government. He served as prime minister and later as president, transforming Cuba into a communist state. Castro's leadership was marked by significant changes in Cuba, including the nationalization of industries and the establishment of a socialist economy. His rule was also marked by international tensions, particularly with the United States. Fidel Castro remained a powerful figure until his health forced him to step down in 2008. He passed away on November 25, 2016, leaving behind a legacy that continues to influence Cuba and the world today.